Hey guys, Mike B. Rolling here. I wanted to do a video today on a lot of guys are looking to get into the business and they're not sure how to start up. And one of the number one mistakes that people made, and I've said this in videos before, one of the number one mistakes that people make when they become an owner operator is they get redneck rich and they start buying all kinds of cars and fancy things and going in debt up to their eyeballs, and that's not a good way to run a business long term. So I just wanted to give you a breakdown of how I do it. This is just the way I do it. There's many different ways you can do it. Talk to a financial advisor if you want to, but I've done it this way for 25 years and I've never run into a problem I couldn't get myself out of. So I just thought I'd pass my formula on to you and use this, adjust it however you want. But number one thing is you got to pay yourself first. Always. First thing, when that check comes in, your settlement check comes in, you take the chunk off the top. I don't care how many bills you've got, bill collectors, doesn't matter. You pay yourself first, always. When you're in startup mode, when you're first getting running, take 30% off the top. I'm talking the net settlement, which is after expenses, but before taxes. That's your net settlement that actually hits your bank account weekly or biweekly for some. But you want to take 30% of that amount right off the top. And, for quick calculations, just if it's a $2,100 check, $210 is 10% times three, $630. Yeah, man, couldn't do the math. But just 30% rough on startup mode. Because what you want to do in startup mode, you want always, this number never changes. 10% of everything that comes to your house should go into an account marked for taxes. Don't touch that money ever. Because when April 15th rolls around, you're going to need that. Actually, you're supposed to pay your quarterly estimated tax payments. Just hold out 10% every quarter at the end of the quarter. So it'd be March is the end of your first quarter. Then April, May, June is your second quarter, and then September is your third quarter, and the end of the year is your fourth quarter. And then when you pay taxes, you'll pay your balance plus your quarterly for the next year. Tax advisor, I'm not a tax advisor. This isn't tax advice, but that's how it winds up, and they'll all tell you that. You got to make estimated payments. Even though you have no idea how much you're going to make, you have to estimate what you think you're going to make, and it's always better to overpay than it is to underpay. So 10% right off of that 30% that comes off the top, 10% goes into an account for taxes. 20% goes directly to a maintenance account, because that's the number one thing that's going to shut you down is a big breakdown that you can't pay for. And this doesn't sound like a lot, but I promise you, religiously, every single week, you pull that money out, put it in those accounts, watch how fast those accounts start growing. It's the compound interest, man. Albert Einstein said compound interest is the most powerful force in the universe. Then once you get a startup and established and you've got your $20,000 in your maintenance account, once you hit that $20,000 in the maintenance account, then you can back down to 20%. As long as your maintenance account is full, you can run at 20%, which means you're putting 30% in your taxes and your maintenance, and once you get established, you're putting 20%, so you're living on 80% of your settlement. So once you back down to 20%, you're still doing 10% for taxes. That never changes. Then you can put 10% in maintenance. Once your maintenance account's at $20,000, if you want to take that 10% for maintenance and put that into an investment fund or something, whatever you want to do, buy gold coins, silver coins, cryptocurrencies, I don't care, whatever you invest it however you see fit. But as long as you've got that $20,000 maintenance account, $20,000 at all times. As long as you've got that $20,000 sitting there, then you can take this 10% vacation fund, take the wife and kids on a cruise or something, whatever you want to do with it. But as soon as you have a breakdown and you tap into that maintenance fund, now say you had I just did kingpins on my truck the other day. I went in for a brake chamber and drums, brake shoes and drums, and one brake chamber leaked there, and I come out with a whole new front end. It was a $5,600 repair. I didn't know my kingpins were going out because the tires were wearing good. Truck was driving straight. There was no indications, but when he jacked it up and he wiggled the tire, clunk, 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 time to get him off of there. So I spent $5,600. So as soon as you tap into that $20,000 and you spend a chunk of change out of that maintenance account, you got to revert back to this. Start taking 20% until that account hits $20,000 again. Go back up here to your startup. Once you hit that 20,000, then you can come back down here and pull out 20%, 10% in taxes, 10% in vacation fund or beer money or whatever, whatever future Corvette fund, whatever you want to use it for. But that's just a basic way that I run, that where every time I've ever had a breakdown or a problem, I've always had the money I needed. Or sometimes that account, I might have had a breakdown, and then a couple of weeks later, I didn't have a full yet, and wacko, had another breakdown. Sometimes that account gets drawn way down. Then you have something big come along. That's where this comes into play. You want to have either a credit card or a line of credit at your bank. I have one. I don't like using credit. I like living a debt-free lifestyle, as close to it as I can. But I do have one credit card with a really good interest rate that I got through my local bank. And I literally nicknamed that card the "oh shit" card. So when something happens and I go, "oh shit, how am I going to pay for this?" Pull out that credit card, and it's saved my bacon several times. So, when this fails, this backs you up. So you've always got what you need. A lot of guys out there, instead of a credit card or a line of credit, they use their company for a line of credit, getting comp checks, advances on their pay to pay their bill and whatever. You don't want to, if you're running your business to where you constantly borrowing money from the company to fix your equipment, you're not running a successful business, and you need to change that. You implement this right here, and I promise you'll have money when you need it. When you need it to have a repair, it'll be there. But that's just a basic way I run my things, run my business, and I tell you, 25 years, man, it's never failed me. So I thought I'd hand that on to you too. You can adjust that however you want, but sounds like a lot living on 70% of what you make. But you got to understand, when you're going from a company driver to an owner-operator, you're going to be making substantially more as an owner-operator. So that 70% is still going to be more than what you made as a company driver. And which is another video that I'll just throw it in here with this. A lot of guys with company drivers are like, oh, owner-operators aren't making that much more than company drivers. Well, yeah, they are. They're making a lot more than company drivers, strictly because of the tax. Just the number one factor is the tax code. As a company driver, you're an employee, you're a W-2 employee, you're paying huge taxes, huge. And the more you make, the higher that tax rate goes. When you have a week that just knocks your socks off, holy crap, look how much money I made. Then look at how much they jacked your tax rate up. I know one of the guys, I just number off the top of my head, when I had my second truck running, if my guys did 3 loads, they paid, they were single, like one dependent, whatever. But if they did 3 loads, they were paying like 26% taxes, which is high in itself. But if he managed to get a 4th load that week, they jumped him from 26 all the way to 42% because his income level went up and hit a new bracket. When you hit that new bracket on your income, they jack your rate up so they take more of your money. It's asinine. It's totally unfair. The tax code is written self-employed. You get so many tax breaks by being self-employed. You'll see what I'm talking about when you make the leap and talk to an owner-operator about how much taxes he pays versus how much he makes versus how much he pays. If you find one that'll tell you, they'll tell you, yeah, you want to buy a truck just for the tax savings alone is tens and tens of thousands of dollars a year. To be an owner-operator is much more beneficial tax-wise. And that's not even to mention that, you got skin in the game, you get more percentage, more of the money. That's just the tax saving from going from a W-2 employee to a 1099 contractor. Trust me, it's well worth it. Anybody who tells you otherwise doesn't understand tax code. I've been doing it for, like I said, 25 years, man. I wouldn't have it any other way. I'd never drive for someone else. No way. I'm not paying that kind of taxes. No, sir. Not doing it. Anyway, just a quick video. This is how I set it up. If you guys want to use my formula, you're welcome to. If you want to change it and make it your own, welcome to do that too. But just, it's a good starting point. So y'all have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll catch you later.